is Mr. Scoggins, and today we're going to be going over different victim removal methods. So we'll start with the first victim removal method, which is victim self-extricating. So with the victim self-extricating, there'll be a time and place for all these different methods, but we can assist victim self-extricating. So the reason we would do victim self-extricating is we have a lot of people that can egress themselves, and we don't have to put a whole bunch of manpower in removing them, each person at a time. So what we really need to work on with that is directing the people on where to go, trying to limit that chaos, because any kind of fire or hazmat or any kind of incident, there is panic that'll set in. So we need to limit the chaos with that and just try to give them some directives and clarification on where to go, how to exit. And so some things you can do is pick a stairwell. So say I'll hear Jeff City Fire, we're familiar with our 10 and 12 Jackson high-rise buildings. So if we have in our SOPs, if we have a fire in a high-rise building, we're going to designate one staircase as the clean staircase and one staircase as the working staircase. And what I mean by that is the working staircase, that's where we'll be advancing hose lines, moving our personnel in and out for fire suppression and search. And the clean staircase, that'll be utilized as people to self-extricate, or as for a shelter-in-place scenario, which we'll get to here in a minute. But so the really important thing with the clean staircase is anywhere there is a potential of that smoke entering that staircase, we need to keep those doors closed. So if we have victims below the fire floor, or we have victims above the fire floor, they can access that staircase using those doors to get into the stairwell. Now we want to keep the fire floor itself, we want to keep that door shut. So we do not want to put any smoke, heat into that clean staircase. So trying to put personnel in position along that staircases to direct people down, and also to keep the floors, doors closed that we need to keep it clean. Another really important thing for self-extricating is we need to have some sort of accountability. So if we are, say, a nursing home, for instance, so we're or a hospital, we're moving a lot of patients in and out, or we're moving a lot of patients out of the hospital, we need to have some sort of accountability check-in station. So that way we know if somebody doesn't check in and they're missing, we know to go back in and look for them. So that needs to be designated by the IC of where that location is and why people are exiting the building, trying to direct them to that check-in station, start getting names down, where they came from, start getting a log of that. So the next is shelter in place. So shelter in place has some of the similarities of the victim self-evacuation, where the shelter in place will come into play. Say we got a room structure, or we got a room and contents building in a nursing home, so that the fire is confined to one point. Well, we would cause a lot more damage trying to remove all the nursing home patients. Maybe some of them are on a ventilator, or some of them are bedridden, or some of them are too sick to be eased and moved. So that way we can just keep them in place, and then we can just attack the fire, get the fire out, and nothing has spread, so everybody else in the outer part of that building is still safe. So that's where a shelter in place would come into play. Another thing to remember with that, so if you have an HVAC system, we want to make sure we're in contact with maintenance. They're a really good tool to use on any kind of structures like that, because they know exactly where those shutoffs are. They know how to make sure that HVAC system is not running and we're not putting a bunch of smoke into the air intake. Now it's dissipating throughout the building. Now it makes the whole building a hazard environment, then everybody would have to be removed. So make sure you're utilizing maintenance people on scene. They can be a very valuable tool for us. Again, with the shelter in place, that is a call that the IC makes. That's not just a line personnel makes that call that says, hey, we're going to shelter in place. That can be a suggestion to your IC, but the IC, in the end of the day, makes that call for you. Another possibility of using that would be something like a prison. Here in Jeff City, we got a couple prisons. So you can imagine trying to evacuate a whole bunch of prisoners and trying to be accountability and trying to have enough COs to have a span of control over that. That could get pretty hectic. So anytime you can use a shelter in place where we can mitigate the fire in one spot and keep everybody else in their cells or house or however it is, that's going to just be better for everybody involved. So, moving on. So that's just an idea of some shelter in place. So what we have fire on the outside of this building, but their inside room there, it's completely viable. People can stay in there. There's no smoke, there's no heat, there's no hazard. It's a safe haven. And that way those people can just stay. We don't have to use resources to get a bunch of people out. So different victim removal techniques. So the best thing we can ever do is put the fire out. If we make the hazard go away, everything becomes a lot easier. So where some things can also get a little bit hard for us is if we have to do some sort of tech rescue with this. So if you have a tech rescue situation where you know it's going to be a long process with removing that patient, it's going to be very time consuming, very resources consuming. So we get all the patients out that we can around them and then focus our resources on the people that are pinned, trapped, where we got to get a sort team or a tech rescue team in to either move some debris, extricate that patient. So that is a very cumbersome situation we could find ourselves in. So with victim drags, along with victim removal, so you want to always pull a victim in line, because we never know if maybe when they went unconscious, maybe a piece of debris fell and they have some sort of C-spine injury. So C-spine injury, obviously with that, we're worried about any kind of lateral movements. We want to keep everything in line, so we're never going to try to drag a patient sideways if we can prevent it. We'd like to drag them, just keep their neck and spine right in line. And we're going to go over proper lifting form and techniques. Safety guidelines, a lot of it's pretty common sense stuff with the safety guidelines. So when we're lifting, we never want to try to lift with our backs, we want to lift with our legs. We've all been preached to about that. We always want to keep our hands close to our body when we're lifting. And what I mean by that is when we're lifting, we don't want to be outstretched. It just puts a lot of wear and tear on our shoulders and on balance, and it's just not worth it. So we want to stay close, keep our hands inside close, where we can lift with our legs. Now we're going to go through the different drags, different carries, and when you might use them. So here we have the incline drag. So the incline drag would be a one-person drag. With the incline drag, you're really just trying to get a patient out of an area quickly. But with the incline drag, so the benefits or the cons against an incline drag is if I'm pulling that patient up like this and dragging backwards, I have that patient's airway now possibly in the smoky environment. So that's where we would not want to use that in a house fire situation. If there is any kind of heat or smoke, so obviously that stuff's going to rise. So we want to keep their airway below that. So an incline drag would be just a grab and go situation where we just got to get them out as fast as we can, and we're not worried about the temperatures in the atmosphere higher above. So the extremity lifts and carries is you'd use it along with the incline drag, other than it's a two-person lift. So it's two people doing the same drag as one person. Same reasons you would use both of those. Webbing drag, so that's more of that's our house fire. We got a patient down inside. We want to keep that airway low. So we want to drag that patient nice and low to the ground, staying below that bad smoke and heat that's up above. Cradle in the arms carry, that's your typical small kid, and then we can grab those when we want to take them out. Again, airways above in that bad environment, so that's just, we gotta grab them, we gotta get them out right now. It's quicker, but be cognizant of where that airway and stuff is. We have the seat lift carry. It's very similar to the extremities lift carry. It's a 2-person lift. It's not ideal for any kind of hazardous scenario. Again, that airway, the breathing, they're up in the bad atmosphere, so we want to limit that in any kind of house fire. Litter carry, that's going to be out west. That's going to be for your wildland scenarios where you need to extricate somebody in a long distance, where you get a lot more people on the litter to help carry that load. So that's the end of my slideshow. I'm going to hand around a test for you guys to fill out. And my name is Mr. Scoggins, and thank you for listening.